Hello, and welcome to the eighth episode of Tbreak OneShot podcast. We are recording this on a Wednesday, 20th of March in the afternoon in Dubai. Summer is officially here. You might see
Indeed.
some sweat drops, just on our foreheads while we record this.
Yep.
Summer is already here.
All
Cool.
for your
So,
benefit. So we're not using AC.
yes, to preserve the sound quality because our producer Amara was not happy with all the external sounds coming into the podcast.
I'm
Uh,
steaming right.
hey, Muff, there's a Steam sale going on right now as well.
Oh,
All right, cool. So, in this podcast, we cover everything related to tech, gaming, movies, cars, TV, everything, you name it. And that's why we called it One Shot. Now, this podcast is available on Podbean and all other platforms such as Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts. So feel free to check us out on either one of those platforms. All right, so let's get started. In this episode, let me just give you a quick rundown of what we're doing. But before we do that, we've got our usual team with us. Danish, Sam, and Mufi join me for this podcast. Hopefully,
Hello.
we have some new guests coming in today as well. So stay tuned for that. All right. So, as far as the show outline is concerned, we are going to be talking about the best phones around the 1000 dirham price range and how a new phone has just landed straight to the top on that list. We're also going to talk a little bit about the MSI Claw, and Sam might have something to tell us about EU's automotive ratings. I honestly don't know what that is. So, Sam, I'll wait to hear what you have to say on that. And
Sure.
we'll hopefully close the show with a few new movies and shows that are sort of coming out this week. So, shall we get started?
Let's go.
let's do it.
All right, excellent stuff. So, we recently received the Nothing Phone 2A, which at its launch price is for 999 dirhams. That's what, roughly 250 US dollars, I'd say,
Yes.
somewhere at that mark.
Yeah, so it
And
had an introductory offer for 999. Though its original price is over 1,000.
Mhm.
It came with a whole bunch of accessories, and they had like the 100 drops where they did 100 drops all together all across the globe at the same time, I think, or something on those lines. But yeah, the usual gimmicky stuff to launch your phone.
Of course. So, Danish, would you say that if someone has 1,000 dirhams to spend right now and looking for a new phone, do
Yeah.
you think this is the one to get?
It's definitely in my top three. It
Yeah.
is a very unique phone with a really nice identity because I think that's what they sell and they do really well. Nothing comes with its own sort of identity outside of the world of Android. The phone looks nice. It's still got that glyph interface on the back. The minute you pick it up and you see the operating system there as well, it's all different. So to their credit, that's why someone would primarily pick this up. And this has the I keep not knowing what to call it because the cameras are vertically aligned, like they're technically horizontally aligned
Hmm.
on a vertical phone.
Okay.
That's what
All
they're.
right. Okay.
So that is basically, like I said, just identity being the main factor all over.
Fair enough. I'll completely agree with you on the design aspect of it. It looks like
Mm.
nothing else on the market, and they've done a really good job with the software side as well.
Yep.
The visual identity of the phone is definitely something that stands out, and not like anything else that we see in this very, very crowded space where almost everything else looks exactly the same. So hats off to them for doing that, and it's fairly smooth as well. You've been playing around with it for a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I checked it out as well, and it's got what the Dimensity processor on it.
7200 Pro processor
Okay,
as
I've
well.
never used a phone with the Dimensity processor. I mean, it's always been Snapdragon as far as Android's concerned, and then obviously Apple's A17 or A whatever.
Right.
How is the MediaTek processor?
So MediaTek deserves a lot of credit for how far they've come, how fast they've come, but you
Mhm.
still know when you're holding a Snapdragon processor in your hand versus a Dimensity processor. Let's put it that way.
Okay,
Now, that's something that I guess people like you and me would be sensitive to, but
yeah,
not the average Joe.
Average
From
Joe.
my
Yeah.
perspective, I think it's a decent processor, and at this price range, it'll do the job. But yes, would I have liked to see a, I don't know, Gen 7, a Qualcomm Snapdragon Gen
Hmm.
7 in it? Yes, I would have comparatively.
Okay,
Uh,
but I guess price wise, sorry, I'm assuming price wise, this sort of couldn't
Yeah,
afford the
yeah,
Snapdragon processor that would have been equal in performance
right.
most of the time for it.
Yes, definitely.
Muff.
the MediaTek in this phone, on what level is it compared to Snapdragon? Like, is it Gen 7, one,
So
2, 3, whatever
so
it
this
is?
would be this would be the mid range, which is the
Okay,
7000 series, but the upper mid range. So the mid range, but on the upper end. So that's why it's the 7200 Pro. So it was
right.
the 7000 series, 7100, 7200, and then in that they've split things up with the Pro to let you know that it's the higher end.
Okay,
But
and
yeah,
that thing is slower than a Snapdragon equivalent.
I'm not going to lie when I say I don't know the exact benchmarking. I'm just
Mm.
talking on the basis of the fact that I think I know when I'm using a phone with a Snapdragon versus
Okay,
anything else. And this includes to me Google Tensor or Exynos or any of them. I just feel that Snapdragon just holds a bit of a niche ahead of all of them.
it's a bit
like
Sounds
more
in
like we can
snappy.
do a test.
okay,
That's Abbas's second pun already 7 minutes into the episode.
Sam, what do you think about the glyph interface on the back, the lights and stuff on the back? Is that
I
something
I
you
really
like?
like it. I think it looks super cool, and it definitely gives it, as Danesh mentioned, like that, brand ethos about it. Like even my wife had commented when she'd seen some of our other videos saying like, "Oh, that looks really cool," and she was intrigued about it, which kind of makes it stand out, above all the other Android devices, phones that are available. So it's very cool.
But let me ask you this. I mean, most of the time when we're either holding the phone or it's on our desk, well, when holding the phone, obviously we're looking at the screen.
Mhm.
But when you put it on the desk, do you put it face down so you can actually see the glyph guide, or you still have the screen up? Because yes, I completely agree with you that it looks cool, but as
Mhm.
far as the usability of it is
Like
concerned,
functionality side of things.
yeah.
So I generally, it's a case of like in a social setting or a meeting or something like that. If I'm not really paying attention, or kind of my indicative thing of like, oh, I don't want you to think, because there's all this psychological thing of keeping your phone on the table and paying attention and all of that. I do put my phone face down so that I'm not distracted to look at a notification or
Right.
something like that.
But then this would sort of be the opposite
Yeah.
of that, right? It would just
Yeah.
distract you
So
with
it's too
notifications.
flashy. Like,
yeah,
hey, look at
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I'll jump in defense of this, which is that because of how much you can control the glyph interface, right?
Hmm.
Because of that, if you want your phone to be completely silent, but you just want to know, let's say, I don't know, WhatsApp or whatever, one of your apps, you want it to have a notification, you can customize what you're seeing. So I think what they're offering is not competition to regular having your screen up. I think it's a middle ground between just completely detaching by switching over your phone and
Mhm.
your screen being facing up. I think that's the thing, because when I was using the Nothing Phone 2, that
Mhm.
was the only thing where I was like, okay, you know what? Let me customize this. Let me add a few apps so that when
Mm.
I flip it over, the phone is on silent, but just those I get to know. So, or you can even customize it to a favorites contact, right? So if I want to ignore Sam and move, but I want to go
Huh, I'm
blinking
great.
light. So yeah, I know. I had to pick someone right in front of me. So so yeah, so I think that customizability is what they're kind of pitching themselves on.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of customizability, it's 2024. RGB lighting is literally everywhere, but they've stuck to a plain white LED on the back. Would you have liked it if it was multicolored?
Yeah. 100%.
No, no, then it not go with their black and white scheme that they have
Absolutely not.
going on. It will not look good. It will look very
You have
tacky
the choice
in the
if you
very
want
sleek
it to
body
be
it is.
RGB or black and white, right? You can just say, I only choose white.
Mm,
Well,
maybe,
no.
but I personally wouldn't, because the phone looks very nice, with the translucent back and the black and
Mm.
white design. Then you put these very tacky RGB on it, and it just takes away from the entire thing uh,
Yeah, I
of the
got you.
phone.
But then to Sam's point, excuse me, you could potentially just keep it on white, right? Maybe they could build an RGB, but by default, everything is white.
Yeah,
And if you
exactly.
want to go and change things up to you,
But
you sort of define on you.
yeah, they could do it, but that's the thing with this phone, right? That they don't want that thing to ha- happen. They are doing it all black and white for a reason.
I
So
mean,
you're not
Mm.
i- distracted while using the phone. So if they go against that, then what's the meaning of their entire thing?
I get it that they're heavily Apple inspired, and this is a very Apple like thing to do where they don't
Yeah,
want to give you any choice except for what they
yeah,
think is the
yeah,
right
yeah.
choice. But come on, throw us a bone over here. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind that. All right. So the Nothing Phone 2, I think we can all say that it's a great phone. It's
Yeah.
definitely something that is to consider around the 1,000 dirham mark. We do have
Nothing
a
phone
list
to
of
A.
Nothing Phone 2A. There we go.
A,
A for these
yes.
budget phones. I'm not sure why that picked up, but okay, sure,
Just
whatever.
number naming schemes are useless.
Yep, agreed. Agreed.
It's not as
Uh,
bad as Sony.
fair enough. All right. So some other phones that are on T-Break's best phones under 1,000 dirhams list are the Motorola Moto G84, which I think is a great phone as well. In fact, that was the
Yeah.
number one phone that nothing sort of took down, and it's a great phone to have. Samsung's always present, so the Samsung A34 is on there. The Xiaomi Poco X6, that's also a pretty good phone for 1,000
Yeah.
dirhams. I'd say you could definitely do that. And then finally, on number 5, it's Honor X9A 5G. That's the last version of Honor's phone. So some pretty good competing phones that are on this list. You could
Definitely.
could definitely check out the full list on tbreak.com. Right. Okay. So moving along to our next topic, we have a guest this time around, and let me just sort of pull up some information over here. Right. So we've got Mudit Nigam joining us from MSI. Mudit is in charge of the notebook division at MSI, and obviously MSI has launched the Claw recently, which is their portable gaming laptop, and we're super excited to find out what that is about. Mudit, welcome to the show, and thanks very much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And you're the marketing manager for GCC and Iraq at MSI.
Yes, for notebooks division. So the
Thanks.
Claw is a product from the laptops division at MSI.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent stuff. So, I mean, tell us, why did MSI decide to get into the portable handset market?
So it's not very surprising we decided to enter this. We have been the top tier in gaming. Like if you think of gaming, we are definitely one of the brands which hits. We've been here for a long time.
Mhm.
And we are all gamers, myself included. And when the handheld scene started to pick up, we are all looking, okay, um, I think Steam Deck and Switch were the big ones. And we're like, okay, Nintendo with, their proprietary titles. Steam Deck, that was the big one. That's where
Mhm.
I guess everybody in the industry opened their eyes because now you can get to carry your Steam library
Mm.
with titles like PlayStation and Nintendo. I mean, you have to get them. They have their own titles, but with Steam, oh, a portable Steam device. And then we saw there were other players in the market. Now there was a Windows handheld which opened. We are just waiting and looking, and we saw a few more launches. And at this point, we pride ourselves in our cooling technology, in how we can improve and deliver to the end user a good gaming experience. So we started taking notes where we can improve on the existing
Mhm.
devices.
Okay.
And that's why we were already determined to deliver the Claw. And we took note of some things which we saw from the current devices in the market. And we decided to improve on them. And there you have it. You have a Claw in the market now.
Fair enough. So one thing that sets you apart from some of the other competing devices in the market is your choice of chipset. You've gone with Intel on this one, whereas the other brands are using AMD. Could you tell us what led to that decision?
So AMD would have been a no-brainer because it is a very widely supported chipset when you go to most consoles. But while we were having a conversation with Intel, we just didn't go with Intel. We went with the Intel Ultra series.
Mhm.
Now, Ultra right now is a very powerful chip. It has its own dedicated NPU for AI development. And when we took it back for testing and the integrated XESS, which it comes with, it was able to comfortably support titles which required super sampling. Um, because of Intel, the battery life seemed to be very well with all the XESS sampling support and the ultra power. Uh, to be honest, it became a no-brainer for us that if we are coming to the market, we come with this new era chip rather than bring a chip which has been around for a while.
So this, if you say you mentioned Intel Core Ultra, and
Yeah.
is this the one with the ARC graphics? Intel ARC graphics? Is that? Am I
Yes,
getting that right? Okay. All
that's
right.
correct.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so you say that that you wanted to go with something new with the I- Intel chipsets, right?
Yeah.
Uh, don't you think that's a bit of a risk because Intel is sort of new to this handheld, not handheld, but rather the graphics card segment, right? And the Intel Arc is still very rough around the edges, and it's not as good as Nvidia or AMD. So, do you think that there was a bit of a risk? Because if you see some of the uh, reviews for the Claw, the handle is not as fast as the ROG Ally or the Legion Go in the Windows handheld. So,
That's a very good question. In terms of risk, so we did have our internal tests. Um, the one thing about gaming which I see is so NVIDIA wasn't really an option, seeing as it is a graphics card or a processor. So NVIDIA wasn't a choice on the table as of right now.
yeah.
It was genuinely between AMD and Intel. And with Intel Ultra, from what we see, it differs from game to game. Any game, you can take both of them and or any other device, you're getting a different response time based on your settings. So one thing we consider is it is a portable gaming handset. So you can enjoy the graphics, at a certain level. There is a threshold right now. This is a category which will improve over time as well. So in our testing, I mean, we saw Witcher 3, for example, do very well. We have no complaints. The other thing is we could see that right now in market, there is a 39 watt hour battery life. It's not a lot when you're going to play titles like Witcher or even like some of the latest titles like Skull and Bones or Helldivers 2, which I'm playing a lot, admittedly, in the name of testing the claw. But I'm able to enjoy up to 53 hours of battery life right now with claw. So we wanted to cover all the basics. We wanted, decent graphics on a 7-inch panel. Um, we wanted to have a good battery life. We wanted players to feel that the graphics are good on this level of panel we are offering. And the Intel XES, it's just covering everything. The Ultra is really doing very well.
I guess as drivers mature, as more support is built into games, we will probably see better and better performance out of the Claw as we kind of move forward with that. One more question I have for you is that this is your first sort of portable gaming handheld device, and the category itself is somewhat new. I mean, we've seen a lot of other companies enter the space as well.
Yeah.
What do you think is the upgrade cycle for devices like these? For example, processors tend to come out almost on a yearly basis. GPUs tend to come out, new GPUs tend to come out within a year or year and a half. What kind of upgrade cycle do you see for these portable handhelds?
Um, That's a very good question. Seeing as we have just entered it right now, our focus is to, how we can improve the experience of this claw
Mhm.
around the people who buy the claw. For upgrade cycle, that is something I honestly think is more of a HQ thing to say.
Gotcha.
But in my personal experience as, product manager, the whole thing about console is it should at least have a 3-year cycle for anybody.
Nice.
Um, as a
Very
person,
nice.
as a gamer, I
Of
mean,
course.
I would feel that. Because the simple idea of this is that the reason why this category is growing is it's all us gamers. There was a time where you saw like people used to hide their passion for gaming because gaming was really an industry. It was a small hobby, and now we are the people who got into college industry, and now we are more open. Like my wife knows I game at this point. Like I have a 1 or 2 hour session at game or while I travel. So I feel it's people like us who have been able to develop products around our lifestyle, and this is definitely a product which will develop and continue to grow in this lifestyle. There's no doubt on this.
Yeah.
No.
One final thing. I'm very curious about how MSI has priced this, because uh, the Claw's direct competitor is the Asus ROG, which has the same kind of design and feature set, but the Claw is 3199 for the higher end version versus Asus, which is 2499 or maybe even 2399. So,
Mhm.
what was the thinking behind going so premium with the pricing?
Um, so we actually designed the claw more looking towards the Steam Deck, in all honesty. But yes, ROG being a Windows handheld, and there are other competitors in the market which also have a Windows handheld. I can see why gamers would, they have options. So when I said we were kind of refining, what we have is, so if you look at any other handheld right now, I can just maybe twist my screen. I am sitting with the claw right now.
Mhm.
So this is kind of like the box you get. I'm sitting with
Very
my
nice.
units, and the joypads. These are Hall effect triggers. So
Nice. Nice.
these doesn't have a physical contact inside, because what happens is if you have carbon contact, you get to the gamers who have Switch and other devices. It's called Joy-Con drift. That's the term. Or these have a very less life cycle. So with MSI, we have a Hall effect trigger. These have a larger lifespan, and they are more accurate for gaming, for aiming, especially in FPS games. The other thing where what we have with the Claw is that we definitely, we see Ultra as its own USP. And on the software point, we also have integrated our own MSI app player, which is basically an Android in it. So you can enjoy multiple games in this. So you're not limited to just PC, Steam, Battle.net, the obvious players, but say you prefer playing PUBG Mobile or Fortnite
Mm.
Mobile over the PC version of PUBG, you can actually have that in the MSI app player and
Very
play
nice.
that. So we
That's
are
pretty
trying to,
cool.
Yeah.
so we've really built a device which, you can game with. And because it's handheld, if I want to ever look at my Excel sheets, I
Mhm.
have a Thunderbolt port here because it is Intel. I have a Thunderbolt port over here. I can connect it to a hub. I can have it up to a screen. I can still have a KBM setup if I wish to while I'm traveling. And it's all in here for work, for gaming, and, everything.
Fair
Very
enough.
cool.
Mudit, I have one more question before I let you go. What are your thoughts on something like the Apple Vision Pro, where you put on a pair of these massive glasses and completely immerse yourself? Do you think that is somewhat of a future for gaming? What are your thoughts on that? Thought I'd just ask.
Yes, I'm thankful you asked me that question. I am following this as category, but I would like to answer this more as a category than Spatial
Mhm.
Pro. No doubt Spatial Pro is good, but I think it will be locked into more of the iOS. I've seen other more Kickstarter products. Like there is one product called Nemo, which also was in Las Vegas, CES. Um, they support both all platforms, Linux, Windows, and Mac.
Mac OS. Yep.
Mac OS. And when they demoed it, the concept of spatial computing, it generally is very, very intriguing to me, to just be able to carry computing in a very small form factor. For me, I think when you're putting something over here, it tends to be comfort. And
Mm.
like I think I see that we all are wearing spectacles. So I'm concerned how comfortable will it be for me, because I just enjoy wearing specs. I don't want to wear contact lens.
Mm.
The other thing would be in terms of, I think, how it integrates with my lifestyle.
Mm.
Because will people understand when I'm talking to them, or I'm genuinely working? Or will it be more like people just accept, oh, I should ignore him because, so
Yeah.
I suppose it doesn't matter if you're in the personal space of your home or in a hotel room traveling. I see many pros to it, but it's just interesting to think about, like, because I saw some ads of people using it in public and metro, and
Mhm.
I'm
Mm.
like, how does this fit in over there? But
Yeah.
it's good to see something very portable.
Yeah.
You-
It No, it definitely is a strange world that we live in. Thank you very much, Mudit, for your thoughts. Much appreciated. Where can someone pick up a MSI Claw if they want to?
Everywhere. We are with Sharaf DG, we are with Jumbo, we are with GK. We are also at Computer Plaza with Al Rashad Computers. All our partners, Virgin Megastore. We are also working for a launch in KSA, and
Mhm.
within 2 weeks, I'm also looking at a launch in Iraq.
Wow, fantastic.
Very nice.
Well, thanks very much for your time. Have a
Thanks,
good
Thank
one.
Mudit.
you. Thank you for having me, and have a great day, gents.
Thank
See
you.
you. Bye bye.
All right, so that was Mudit Nigam from MSI giving us some of his thoughts on the MSI Claw. Interesting device. Murphy, I just kind of want to get to you. Like, what do you think about it? Like, what are your opinions? You were quite interested in the AMD versus Intel debate on this. Do you think Intel has a future in handheld gaming?
It's hard to say because they're still quite new to the scene, especially in the graphics card thing. Because right now, if you see the benchmarks for the Claw versus the Asus ROG or the Legion Go, is far, far behind. Like
Hmm.
some games are uh, like on the Asus, it renders at 50 FPS, and then on the Claw, it goes to like 25, 30 FPS. So it's a huge difference in terms of power. So they're kind of new. Their desktop GPUs are still not, up to the mark versus AMD or
Mhm.
NVIDIA. And then they have jumped into the handle. I feel a little bit too soon.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Uh, and Claw is way overpriced for what it is. It is
You think
basically
so?
I
a
thought that was
super
interesting. Mudit mentioned about the controller, the joystick Hall
Hall
effects,
effect.
right?
That should not increase the price so much. Like this is
No, maybe we haven't
no
felt it to see is it
no
premium, the
no.
build quality
Uh,
is better or something.
you have tried the Legion Go, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
we've tried that.
Yeah. So that also has the Hall effect
Oh, okay.
joysticks,
Mm.
but the Legion Go, it's pricey because you can take out the Joy Cons. You have the FPS modes. You have a lot of buttons. You have a larger screen, higher resolution. So that adds up to the price. The Claw
Mm,
has
yeah.
has none of that. It is basically much like the Asus ROG, but they went super premium with the price. I think for its performance and for its feature set, it shouldn't be 3,199. There's no way that price works. So let's
Yep.
see how they fared. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, coming to our car segment, we've got a EU automotive ratings. Sam, do you want to tell us a little bit about what is this
Yes.
about?
I will definitely tell you all because it seems everyone only read the headline and thought like screens are going to go away and all of that stuff. it's not the case. So brands pride themselves in having, a 5-star NCAP safety rating. That was, something with brands all over the years. And basically in 2026 they're going to implement some new rules which your functionality of the car, we're talking indicators, gear selector, the horn, all of those kind of things are going to come into part of that safety rating. So unfortunately, the volume knob is not probably going to come back as a physical thing because it doesn't really matter, or your AC controls. But obviously, the latest Model 3 is going to be the most under fire, given that the horn is
Yeah.
now a button, your gear selector is on the screen, your indicator stalk has moved to the steering wheel as well. But I mean that's the case even with the Ferrari. They cancelled the stalk and the turn signals, and the headlight buttons and everything is on the steering wheel as well. So I don't know. I think it's kind of like an evolutionary thing. Like, how much do people really bother about NCAP ratings? Maybe it's not something I think people care. Like in the 90s, they're like, "Oh, how safe is the car?"
Look, as far as the gear stock is concerned, fine, I can live without one. I mean, what you're either
Mm.
parked, driving, or reverse, right? There's not much to it.
Yeah,
But my biggest concern is those indicator buttons on the steering wheel because, I mean, that wheel is continuously moving. At least with the stock, you know exactly when you're going left or right. With this, it's sort of like a very shifting target, and you sort of have to keep a very close eye on what you're pressing on there. So that I don't get.
yeah. I mean, but think about it. You don't have to move your hand to reach the horn anymore. You just it's on the thumb. You're just like right there, like did it did.
Yeah, but then no, like I mean,
No.
I think that there are few things that just should be universal, because
Mm,
you have to play for the average always, right?
yeah.
Maybe like, okay, for example, in the case of the Tesla, it's on the right side if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, I think
What?
it's where your thumb should be
Yeah, on the
positioned for
right
the
side,
horn.
correct?
I
For the
think
So,
so.
so
horn?
my point being, what if a person's left-handed and that person's instantaneous reflex goes to their left hand, right?
Mm,
I know I'm nitpicking, but I'm just trying to say I think that there's a law of averages that should take place
oh,
in terms of
100%.
safety. Like, for example, you know how every time we do a car review, Sam, and especially in the last few videos, I've been giving points for
Yeah,
where the
for
hazard
hazard
light
button.
placed, right? Because like
Yeah.
the Hondas we drive, the hazard light is like pinpoint, big tactile button. But like the new Chinese cars, they're like hidden somewhere on the right side, on the left side. Like the
Yeah.
accident has happened, I've died, I'm still looking for the hazard light. Like, no, there are certain things that just should be a certain way. I don't give a damn if it
Agree.
Yeah.
doesn't look good in your car. Like, sorry, figure out a way to put it there. So yeah, I mean, listen, good that these rules are coming in place. I was hoping that it was a rule for like AC controls to be actual knobs, but fair.
Or the
I
volume
guess,
button. But
yeah, or
yeah.
the volume button. But I guess I learned my lesson as a headline reader. Apologies, Sam.
Speaking of the horn button, I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but have you guys suddenly realized that the amount of honking in Dubai has increased by
Yeah,
tenfold?
yes, of
Everybody's
course.
honking now. Used to
I
be such a peaceful drive. Now I
I
hear like honking
I
everywhere.
have
If I
I
don't
know
take my foot off the accelerator for like a second after the light turns green, bam, suddenly somebody's going beep beep. Like, what the
I
hell, guys?
I
Come
know
on.
the reason. I don't know if I can say it on a podcast.
Can we just like beep?
It's, in my opinion, is very simple. There was a certain rate of, I think that in the years that we've been here, all of us have been here most of our lives. Abbas, you're from here, but like there was a assimilation to Dubai driving culture that took place. But then they made getting licenses easier, and the flood of people that have entered the UAE have just come straight. Like, I'm just gonna talk against my people. I'm gonna talk against like Desis, Indians, and Pakistanis, and those. They all just came from the streets of their respective cities and just plonked here, and they're like, hey, back home we honk. So now we honk. That's my theory on what's happening. These are all new people to Dubai, I
Yeah,
guarantee.
it's not too far from the truth because especially in India, right? Honking is not rude. It's a way of saying where
Driving.
I'm going.
Communication. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Very well said. It's a
yeah.
language.
It is a language. I've been in autos, right? And they honk in a certain way, which says something different each time. So if they honk like twice, that means maybe they are going right. If they
Yeah,
honk too much, then maybe you are too close to me. Just move fast.
yeah.
It is incredible. So maybe they are bringing that kind of logic to the roads, and
Mm.
Wait till
it's
So
wait
you,
till
taking
R-
time to
wait
get
till
things.
RTA gets involved. I can't wait for the announcement. 189,000 dirham fine if you honk for too long. I cannot wait for it.
either that or driving lessons will have a class on honking and the art of it.
That would
Ooh,
be
it's like
awesome.
Morse
Oh my
like
god, that would be
wow.
crazy. That'd be crazy.
It's not gonna make any difference. Nobody, you learn the laws. Who follows it?
and
He's got a
as
point.
and for people who do not know, there is one Sharjah person among all us Dubai people, and he just revealed himself.
No points for guessing.
All right.
Cool. All right. So let's move on to our last segment, which is the upcoming movies and shows. And well, let's start with a new trailer that landed this week. It's the Acolyte from Star Wars, which doesn't take place in the universe of Star Wars that we've known. It was the Skywalker universe.
Yeah.
It's sort of a little bit away from it.
Yes.
It sort of goes back into the history of when Jedi's were pretty much the all-powerful ruling, etc., etc. Did any one of you see the trailer?
Yeah, I did. I did.
What are
Um,
your thoughts on it, Danish?
I listen. I got instantly excited for a very very simple reason, which is that you've got a great universe out there, right? It is a fantastic universe. But the Skywalker family drama was just not ending, right? The story of Palpatine's birth and rebirth, which is what Star Wars should be called ideally, it just went on and on and on. It just didn't stop. And like I was done by the end. Like, don't get me wrong, I watched everything, I've rewatched a lot of it, but it was time to just let that
Yeah.
go. And I think the great experiment in that was Mandalorian, which was tethered to the
Mm.
universe but not completely. So
Loved it.
I'm glad they're moving out away from it. It's a universe that can just be like this show, The Acolyte. I don't know if it's going to be long term or whatever, but like it can just be one season and we can all just live a happy merry life with another Star Wars story coming in later.
No, absolutely. The other one that I really liked was Andor. I'm not sure if you guys saw Andor or not.
Yeah,
I thought that was really good as well. It was also
Andor was
disconnected from the whole Skywalker saga, but it was phenomenal. So I
Andor
think
was
when they
excellent.
step out of that, yeah, you're absolutely right, which makes us excited for Acolyte. All right. So the next one coming up is Roadhouse releasing on Prime Video on the 21st of March. Now, this is a remake of the old Patrick Swayze movie, which I saw when I was in college. So I've actually seen the original when it was released and loved it back then. So look, I mean, it's got Jake Gyllenhaal, and I have mad respect for him. I think he's awesome. Danish, you've got your hand up.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
In terms of revealing himself, the oldest person in this podcast has revealed himself.
Should I be applying beauty factor or beauty filters from next time onward?
Sorry, carry on.
No, it's about Jake Gyllenhaal sort of moving to a small town where, people aren't very law friendly, let's just say, and the spa owner hires him to sort of take care of things.
Yep.
Looks good. Looks good. I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. I think his movies are usually a little off the mark, I want to say, in a good way.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that.
Same. I like his movies. I think he's over his career found a bit of a niche for himself where he knows what suits him and what people sort of expect for him. Plus, coming from a entire family in the industry, I think he's just found a little niche for himself, which works.
That didn't quite work out well for Nicolas Cage for some time. Like, we kind of knew when Nicolas Cage was in a
Yeah.
movie that that's what it's going to be about. But then, unfortunately, things went a little south for him. Let's just hope that he doesn't fall into that trap.
Agreed. But I mean, to be fair, Nicolas Cage did come back with a bang.
Agreed.
So
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
No, he did. But
Yeah.
there were a few years where
yeah,
you avoided his movies.
agreed.
All right. And the final one that we have for this week is the three body problem. Now, this is based on a Chinese sci fi novel from 2008. And what's super exciting about it is that it is being done by the people that brought us Game of Thrones. Now, I
Is it
know
about?
what everyone.
Is
Okay,
it?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Look, I blame this on George Martin, George R.R. Martin. You know, he promised that by the time the drama sort of the series comes to an end, he would have written the final book.
Fair.
He did not. So there were creative choices that were made by the people that they're great. What's the right word for it? They're not story writers, but you know,
They're
putting
great
things on
Bringing
storytellers.
stories to yes.
storytellers, fine, they're great
Visual
storytellers.
makers.
And right up till the point where we were following the books for Game of Thrones, it
Till
was
season 6.
phenomenal. It
Yeah,
was
it was.
phenomenal.
It was.
It was,
So
yeah.
I am looking forward to this. But well, I haven't read the book. Amara, our producer, has, and she loves it. It's a trilogy of books. I think this is the first one from it. And where that name kind of comes, three body problem, is I was trying to read up a little bit on that, and they were trying to explain it where you've got the sun as a body, where the earth revolves around it as another body
Okay.
and has certain gravitational pulls and pulls. And then you've got a moon as a third body, which revolves around the earth,
Mm.
and that's got its
Those kind of
own
bodies.
those kind of bodies. But what they were sort of trying to see is imagine if all three body Murphy.
No, I'm just saying. I'm
What
not
other
saying
kind of body problems were you
human
thinking?
bodies.
Could you
Human bodies.
That's
elaborate?
Human
hilarious.
Yeah,
bodies.
yeah. I mean, your immediate thing would be to jump to human bodies, right? Not a body
The,
of
the,
water
the
or
latest hospital
Celestial body.
drama on TV, three body problem. Sorry, Abbas, continue.
Right. So I think what the writer envisioned was, what if these three bodies were identical in size, mass, volumes? Which one would have an effect on which other one? Because obviously the larger one affects the smaller one. But what if you had three identical ones? How would that sort of shape up? That's my understanding of it. I could be very wrong about this. And then the story sort of starts off in the 70s, where a contact was made with a alien civilization. Uh, the trailer looks pretty awesome to me. And again, I could be completely wrong on this, but the way I kind of see the trailer is that in that 70s time period, something happened where
Okay.
a curtain was pulled over our universe. So we're sort of living in a matrix kind of world uh, that we
Ooh.
don't know. I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's the vibe I got from the trailer. I haven't read the book, but I'm super excited about it. Again, this lands on Netflix on the 21st of March this weekend. So super excited to see this.
Oh, tomorrow.
Oh,
Nice. I'm gonna
tomorrow.
watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it for sure,
Yeah.
100%. There's no question. Like this is one of those shows where I go to my wife and be like, yes, no, because like if it's no, I'm watching on my own. Like this is there's no waiting for the other person to watch it. Like it has to happen.
My only concern is it Ramadan friendly? Is it halal enough to watch in Ramadan? Because Game of
Oh,
Thrones
Game of
definitely
Thrones.
was not.
No, no,
That's
no.
Yeah.
fair. That's
So,
fair.
yeah.
I'll tell
So
you what,
that's my
Abbas,
only
wait till
concern.
22nd, we'll let you know. You can
No,
watch
thank you.
you can watch every episode after us. So we'll verify for you each episode is Ramadan friendly.
Halal check.
Cool. All right. I guess that's what we have for you in store this week. Thank you very much for staying with us till the end. If you did that, we'll be back in the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions, any comments, do reach us out. This show is published on YouTube, where you can comment as whatever you'd like. You can also listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So feel free to reach out. I don't think they can reach out to us on that platform. YouTube is pretty
They
much the only thing.
Or I mean, listen, they could check our socials where we will be posting little mini bites of this entire podcast. So yes, they can.
Cool. Well, with that, I guess we'll say bye.
So, yeah.
Have a good one. Bye.
Adios.